Hey, Pastor Steve here. Last time we talked about anger and how anger can be a big problem in our lives. Not only does it increase the inner turmoil within us or hurt the relationships around us, but it also grieves the heart of God. Because oftentimes the desires, the motivations, the reasons behind our anger are selfish desires, not godly desires. And those things are always going to wrestle against each other. And so the step one for us was to acknowledge, admit, identify where anger is in our life. And that can be easier said than done because I know and you know that we can often minimize the anger in our lives. We can say, well, I wasn't really angry. I was just irritated. I was just frustrated. I was just upset. I didn't mean what I said. We can also justify our anger by saying, well, the only reason that I was angry is because you weren't listening. Or the only reason I got upset is because this happened. Or, you know what, I was upset because I want something and I'm not getting it. And don't I have a right to be angry about that? Don't I have a right to be happy? Shouldn't I get upset about things that are unfair, things that are unjust? And they're unjust towards me. And so we can justify and minimize our anger. And so it's a big deal for us to really identify, acknowledge, and admit where there is anger and then decide whether it really is righteous or unrighteous anger. And most times than not, it's going to be unrighteous anger. What are the reasons behind our anger? Sometimes it's because we are just discontent about the things in our life. We can look at other people's lives and we can just be filled with jealousy and envy and say, I want that. Why can't I have that? That's not fair. And we are very discontent with perhaps what God has been given us. And Paul writes to 1 Timothy chapter 6 and verse 6 says that godliness with contentment is a great gain. And so we really need to learn the value of contentment, being satisfied with what God has given us. And that is a huge thing. One of the things I read this week was what is essential for your life to be happy? What do you need in order to be happy? Well, and then the follow-up question is your happiness essential for your life? Ooh, big, deep questions there. What is essential in order to make you happy? Because those are often the things that when you don't get it, you're going to get upset about. And then is your happiness essential for you to live a life godly here on earth? Whoa, huge, huge question. And of course, God wants us to be satisfied and enjoy what He gives us. He wants us to enjoy a relationship with Him. But we can easily get unsatisfied with not having enough or wanting more and more. And so maybe this is an issue of contentment in our lives. Maybe there's an issue of unrealistic expectations, not only for our lives or what we want from God or what we want from other people around us. Is that real? Is it a real expectation or is it an unrealistic expectation? Are we discontented in how our relationships are around us and that we hold grudges or that we remember the details in which people sinned against us for longer than we really should? There's a lot of things to think about when it comes to, are we content? Also, in our responses and how we think through things. Do we think things in balance, unbalanced? Meaning, do we often look at other people as more evil than they really are and look at ourselves as more good and saintly than we really are? There's an unrealistic balance there in how we view people and view ourselves. And so these are really things to think through when it comes in our anger. And the thing about anger is that it's not necessarily something that we can solve quickly. I think it's going to be a lifelong lesson that we need to constantly build on that character, dissect the reasons and things behind it, as well as just learning how to not have the intensity of our anger be so high, how to not have the duration of our anger be so long, and how to have the frequency of our anger not be so quick all the time. Those are a lot of life lessons to be learned, something that we're not going to learn quickly. So what are a couple of resources that I would recommend? Well, one of them is Brad Hambrick. Brad Hambrick is a Christian counselor in a church called the Summit Church in North Carolina, and he counsels there in the church, but he teaches seminars, and all of these resources are available on his website, bradhambrick.com. In fact, his resource on grief is what I use as I guide and teach through grief once a year here at my church. But he has a resource on overcoming anger. It's a great resource, 9 session videos. You can request the notebook that goes with the videos by emailing the church. They'll send it to you, and that it really is a great resource for when you watch the videos to then go through the material and really self-counsel through some of these things. Another resource that I've picked up and enjoyed is this small book about a big problem. And it's by Ed Welch, and it's 50 days, 50 devotions going through meditations on anger, patience, and peace. And this is a great resource just to really slow down and give a lot of attention to this idea of anger in our lives. Now, I also recommend seeking counsel. There's nothing wrong with seeing a counselor. In fact, the Bible says that the wise person seeks godly counsel. And so we ought to be asking for other people's inputs and insights and allowing them to ask questions that draw out what's deep within inside of us. And sometimes it's not just the kind of the normal everyday things that we can get upset about and relational conflicts and all that kind of stuff. There may be deep, deep trauma, grief, or abuse in our lives that has a huge hold on us that we really need someone to draw that out from us. And so I'd recommend really seeking a counselor, godly counsel. And there's no shame and guilt in that at all. And so I hope that this has been helpful and encouragement to you as we talk about anger in our lives and giving us the tools and the resources to really think through what are the reasons and our proper responses to our anger. Would you allow me to pray for us? God, we know that anger can be such a big problem in our lives, even for those who call themselves Christ followers. And it's more important for us to really take care of those things and for you to speak into our lives about those things, not to minimize them when they come up, not to justify our reasons or excuses for our anger, but to really confess them over to you and seek restoration of relationships. And God, many times this can be a daily confession, a daily repentance, a daily seeking your forgiveness. But God, our hope is that as you forgive us of those sins and that you work more and more in our lives, that the intensity of our anger is less, the duration of our anger is less, and the frequency of our anger becomes less, so that you would get more glory in our lives. Help us to be content in the things that you have given us. You've given us what we need. You have such care and concern for us. And God, we need your help in this. It's hard to do that on our own. In your name, in Jesus, we pray. Amen. Amen. Thanks for hanging out and watching these videos. Click and share it as it may be an encouragement to someone else. God bless.